Here we are, the first video. Thank you for being here with me. Thanks for watching. It's an honor and a pleasure to share, to be here, and I'm excited for what's to come. All the interactions and connections we'll have and make. I need it. I've been feeling this call for 2 years now to connect with others in this format, as I've seen many YouTubers connecting with people, and I've really felt healed by a lot of people's shares and what they're going through in spiritual videos and ASMR, and just wow, there's a lot of people doing really good work out there. So here I am to contribute in whatever way I can, and to show up authentically and raw and honestly as myself. And in beginning that, I am going to introduce myself. My name is Nicolas Richard Balseiro. I was born in Miami, Florida, where I am currently, to my father, who is Cuban with Spanish and Portuguese lineage, and to my mother, who is Honduran, born in Tegucigalpa, but with Palestinian lineage. And so I like sharing that to honor my ancestors and where I come from, even though I don't know too much about my ancestry or those cultures. I am a product of them and everything that came before. So I won't be referring to myself as Nicolas Richard Balseiro. You will hear me say Nick Olas, Coffee with Olas. That is my stage name. As a musician, it's a lot easier and frankly more symbolic and more fun to say Nick Olas instead of Nicolas Balseiro or Nicolas Balseiro. Sierra? It gets butchered, so no worries. One thing I want to do with these videos for sure is I don't want to hold back. I don't want to filter the words that I use. I want to be raw, vulnerable, and honest. That's what I crave in content and in music and in interactions with people. For so many years, there's been this people pleaser energy and like putting on these masks. Oh, I'm hanging out with these people. Let me be this now. Let me be this. And like being the chameleon, which is a great survival mechanism. But I'm not out here trying to survive. I'm out here just trying to live my life and be myself. And I feel like right now the energy in the world, like people want authentic. People want real. Because at least that's what I want. And so I'm going to be that. And you know, the trigger warning, I might say some stuff that might be like really heavy, some stuff that might be dark, some stuff that might be controversial, but I'm just gonna speak whatever my experience is and do my best to speak clearly. And I hope that the chimes in the wind and stuff is not like super duper loud, but yeah, I seek to speak clearly, but also be raw and vulnerable. So let's start with the spiritual path, the healing path, what that means to me personally. This feels like an interview. Interesting. Let's drink some of this stuff. Cheers if you have a cup of coffee, mushroom coffee, decaf, tea, water, orange juice, whatever you're drinking. Even if you're not drinking anything, if you're here, cheers. This is very special to me. The spiritual path, the healing path, they're kind of interchangeable to me, is when you have some sort of awakening, some sort of thing happens where you step outside of yourself, out of this, let's call it character, character for me would be the Nicholas Richard Balsero, born on this day at this time. Here's the social security number, like all these things that we've learned to identify with and say, this is me. And you have an experience where you're pulled out from that, and you realize, oh, that's actually not me. That's a video game character that my soul is inhabiting like a vehicle and playing in this game of life, in this school of life. I've heard many people say that Earth is a school, and that feels very, very true for me. And so the spiritual healing path is when you knowingly, consciously start playing the game. When it goes from being this unconscious daily thing, why is life happening at me and happening to me, and look at all these things, and we just get buffeted by the storm, and then we have an experience where we see that there is a bigger picture, there is a greater power, whatever we might call that, in many names, and now we have an interest in researching those things, or researching ourselves to find out who we are and how we tick, and how can I really show up in the world consciously and make an effort to let go of these old patterns, this baggage, this conditioning, and live in a different way. Timestamp. All right, cool. So 2020, I have like a little outline over here on a piece of paper. 2020, I know it's like triggering for a lot of us, right? 2020 was a year that brought a lot of these patterns that were culminating, these cycles of ups and downs that I had been feeling over the previous 5 to 6 years, on and off, little by little. 2020 really brought them out and just fucked me up. Just depression and anxiety, like two homies, like, yeah, depression, anxiety, yeah, bro, let's fuck them up. And just, they had me on the floor, and they were just kick, punch, and that's honestly what it felt like. It was lowest lows, depression, and then the highest highs were anxiety, and there was just like no comfort in between. It was just, oof. A lot of people might call that a dark night of the soul. I definitely do now. That led me to some of the worst energies I felt in my life. Really feeling powerless, not enough, overwhelmed by any little thing that in the past, like in a more whole and excited and loving place, I would be so excited to connect with my friends and to talk to my family and to show up and be there for people, to do my work, to just live life. And in the spiral of that darkness, it was just so much resistance, so heavy. It just feels impossible to do one positive, productive thing. It feels impossible to look at the phone and see all these texts and emails and messages that are building up, and then have the ego also saying, you haven't called so-and-so, it's your grandpa's birthday, you gotta call him, blah, 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 blah. And it just racks up, and it just becomes this overwhelming thing. It's like, oh, well, I can't do any of it. I can't do one of them. I can't do all of them. And shout out if you're feeling that right now, or if you felt that before. That is a tough fucking energy to deal with. Just breathe that in for a second. And if you don't know what that's like, imagine feeling like everything's impossible, everything's a struggle, and it feels real. It's rough. And we also don't reach out for help because shame. Shame keeps us in there. So 2020 brought a lot of that up for me. Living at home with my parents. I was just looking for apartments right before. And then lockdown happened. Stayed home with my parents to help financially and band together. But it also brought all of the yucky stuff out. There was a lot of resentment building up, and I had not yet really consciously started the work. I'd been reading self-help psychology books for a while. There was always a drive to better myself, but as I know now, it was mostly the heart was in it, but the ego kept grabbing onto the concepts and then shoving them on other people and projecting, you should be doing this, you should be doing this, I'm doing this. And it actually ended up causing more damage in the long run, you know? Oh, cool. That's a big ass snake and a bird. That's cool. That's symbolic. I gotta look that shit up. Garden snake. I gotta show you. How can I not? I don't know if you can see the boy over there in the corner. Or the girl. Who knows? Oh. Yeah. That's nature, baby. Nature's metal. It turned into a nature is metal video here. So the pattern was depression, anxiety, build up, lot of addictions and coping mechanisms, and it's just downward spiral. And I'd get to this place and feel like shit, mind, body, and soul, all of it. And then I'd hit the pinnacle where I'm like, I don't want this anymore. Like I need to get out of here. And I slowly start to climb out of the well. Let's use the well analogy. I hit the bottom of the well. I start climbing up. I get back up, and now I'm feeling like I reinvented myself. Wow, I got through this big part of my life. Like I feel great. And now I'm starting to like play music again and connect with other people and do the things that I'm here to do. And then like a thing happens. Maybe like I have feelings for a girl and she says a thing, or I get rejected. Something happens with a family member. It can be like anything that could trigger me. And it's like I was standing on the side of the well in the sunlight feeling great, and someone just came by and went, and I happened to be like on the edge and like, no, and I just fall right the fuck back down, and it would just spiral me again. And this happened for a period of like a couple of years, from like 2019 on and off to 2021, the beginning of 2021. And there was a point in 2021, around January, early February, where I really felt like this is it. I got out, I'm good, I'm feeling better. And then one of these things came and like kicked my sandcastle down, and just like the waves came and washed it all away. And I was like, everything I just worked towards is gone. And I had this really profound moment of just despair. And I literally got on my knees in my room and I prayed for the first time in like 10 years. Some backstory. I went to an all-boy Catholic Cuban high school, middle school and high school. And that the experiences there led me to renounce my religion and have a lot of resentment and distaste for organized religion, for many reasons I can get to in another video for sure. That's a topic to explore. But I hadn't prayed. When I left organized religion, I still had a sense. There was a spiritual knowing. Yeah, I'm not a nihilist now, or an atheist. I just don't know. Agnostic. I think that's what that word means. But like agnostic universalist, like I would, instead of using the word God, I would say the universe, and it felt right. I'm like, yeah, like everything that exists, there's like some crazy intelligence. There's something going on. And so at that moment of like the deepest despair, I just got on my knees and I was just sincerely like, universe, I can't do this shit. I've been trying so much, so many times, and I keep falling down. I don't know what I'm missing, but it's not me. Like, I'm not the one that can figure this shit out. Like, help me, please help me. In tears and all. And the next week, I went to a doctor's office and met somebody there who had some really cool tattoos, very spiritual tattoos. Struck up conversation, found out that this person goes to ayahuasca ceremony, and felt in that first interaction that they were trusting of me enough to share that with me. And ayahuasca has always been a thing. I have experimented with psychedelics in the past, and I have smoked cannabis, and I've had beautiful mind-opening, expanding experiences. And I always told myself, like with the heavy ones like ayahuasca or peyote, this is before I really knew anything about them. I had just heard, oh, you have a shaman guide you and it's like 8 hours. I'm like, whoa, that sounds intense. That's the kind of thing I will not look for, but if it finds me, then I'll know that that's a sign. That's like a thing I've always told myself. And the fact that I had prayed the week before asking for guidance, and then this popped in, she's like, hey, can I send you the information? Would you like that? There's one this weekend. And that's it. I was like, yep, that's the thing. Let's go. This is the path. Like, it felt right. It attracted me to it. And now, to be very precise, this brew of plant medicine is called yahe. And the way that I understand it, it is a cousin brew to ayahuasca. And it's a very similar combination of, DMT in a natural occurring plant, and then another shrub or vine that has an inhibit. I got to brush up on the science, but it's something that allows your body to actually experience the DMT, and not just the DMT of the plant, but also we have our own store of DMT, and biologically we have something that blocks us from experiencing it, or else we'd be tripping all the time. So DMT is not this, it's a drug. No, it's literally in our body, and there is a use for it. And traditionally and indigenously, for thousands of years, people have been healing their maladies, their mental sicknesses, resentments, fear, anger, sadness, that in this society, because of a lot of different reasons, started building up. And now we have this mental health epidemic, and there's astronomical percentages of people that are depressed and anxious and suffering so much mentally and emotionally. And ayahuasca ceremony healed a lot of these energies. And like, I've heard people say, like, plant medicine, like one session of plant medicine is like 10 years of therapy. I get it. I understand that's not an exaggeration. It's different for everybody, and it's also not a path for everybody. And that's something you just have to feel into your own intuition to determine if that's for you. My ego is telling me that this video is too long, and that I'm going too slow, and that I'm gonna have to chop this up, and like, no, people don't want to watch this. It's okay. This is how I talk, this is how it's going. Cheers. There was a day after ceremony in the month that followed in the integration where I felt the energy of depression slide off me. The only way I can think of it is like a snake sheds its skin. Just imagine sitting there, maybe with like a bunch of blankets, and then you just let go, and then all the blankets go. And I just felt this heavy energy go while I was sitting down at my desk. And I felt this relief and this comfort, and it's the most brilliant fucking thing that I've felt, especially after coming out of so much darkness. And the months that followed from that February of 2021, actually for the rest of the year, I sat with ayahuasca on average once a month. To this day, I have sat in ceremony 14 times and have also ceremonied with psilocybin mushrooms in between ayahuasca ceremonies. It really felt like I was finding out a lot about myself, a lot about the universe and the cosmos, interacting with benevolent spirits, ancestors, guides, beings of the light. When I say beings of the light, it's like this ambiguous, vague aliens, angels, cosmic entities. I don't know, but I just know what I've read in sacred scriptures and in more modern pieces and explorations, documentaries and YouTube videos, people talking about their experiences, and then my own experience, and just putting that up against everything else. It is literally some of the most profound shit that has ever happened in my life, what I've seen and experienced in ceremonies. And there's a part of my ego that gets triggered when people say it's a hallucination. Because it's like, I'll tell you, what I've experienced in ceremony feels more real than this feels right now. And that's something that you can't really comment on unless you've experienced it. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have the freedom of speech to express your disbelief or anything on that. Like, that's valid. That's a valid expression. But I'm just telling you that it feels real. Really, really, really real. Like, some of the things I felt in ceremony feel the most true. Truer than science. This human-minded science can say, well, I've done this test and I've proven this, so that's it. Not to discredit science, not at all. But it just, when that kind of mind goes up against the entire cosmos and everything that exists and everything that we don't know, and says, well, we haven't used a scientific method on it, so, oh, you mean this thing that we came up with to prove in the material reality what's fact? Oh, but wait, hasn't quantum physics just in the last 100 years discovered that physical reality isn't really even physical? That matter isn't matter? That we're like 99.99999% space, and then that 0.00001%, is it matter? No. It's potential. It's energy. That's mind-boggling. That's crazy. What do we even know? What do we know? So how can we tell the people they're wrong and full of shit? And I do feel some energy around, like, I am not bashing science. Not at all. Like, there are multiple planes of reality. And on this 3D plane, science is very, very helpful. Very, very practical. But in this 3D realm, there's also a lot of corruption. That's ego that comes in. And in the scientific field, there's a lot of payoffs and a lot of hush that person because it doesn't interest or benefit the ones that are paying you and giving you all the money, and oil industry and big pharma and all these things. And that's fine. Ego's like, oh no, you're saying conspiracy theory stuff. It's all good. The information's out there. I'm not claiming that I have all the facts, but if you want to do the research, go ahead and do your own research. I commend that. That's very important. But just like doing your own research also means, like, research yourself, like research your inner world. And I've seen a lot of Western minds just completely discount yogis and Buddhists and any sect of knowledge or wisdom, truth seekers that have been around for thousands of years, that have been exploring consciousness, and just saying, oh, consciousness is generated in the brain. That's it. We don't really need to go in there and study that. That's actually the biggest frontier yet, feels like to me. I might be going off topic or not. Like, what is off topic? What is on topic? There's an outline here, but I'm just riffing. So, and this is like one take. I think I might just post it like this. 25 minutes. Y'all are still here. Y'all are the real ones. No, you're all real, even if you're not here. This is nice. Feels good to just speak my mind, speak the things that feel true to me, and put them out there for whoever wants to take that in, interact, and benefit, find some healing, find some community from the things I've experienced. I spent time in between ayahuasca ceremonies microdosing and macrodosing with mushrooms and exploring that. And the energy around mushrooms really feels like playful, warm, helpful. Like, my experiences with plant medicine has really felt like these really big, larger than life entities. Like ayahuasca has really felt like Mother Earth, Gaia herself, speaking to me and saying, my child, there's a lot of dirt and darkness and muck and mire here, and don't worry, you may have to purge. It's inevitable, but it's okay. All is well. I'm here with you. And it's like mom patting your back while you're barfing into the toilet, barfing into the earth. And then you come out the other side and you feel clean. Spiritually clean. I can't even describe in words what that feels like. It started getting me out of my bubble from like depression and anxiety. It feels like the focus really narrows and it just becomes about me. I become self-centered, have a lot of self-centered thoughts. And in a way that hurts me and hurts others. Why can't I? I'm not enough to do this. It sucks. It really feels like shit. And that energy just like got these little walls, these little blinders, and she said, okay, we're just gonna bah! And now there's the peripheral again, and now I can see others. And what it did for me at my best was remove me completely and show me that it is literally about everyone. And I had a feeling of oneness. So the oneness experience, another timestamp, oneness. I'm just gonna call this what I call this in my own lore. And it sounds lofty. This is the ego like giving you a preface because it doesn't want to feel judged. But I believe that I had a glimpse of enlightenment. And I also don't know, because I can just tell you that this is the highest vibrational frequency that I have felt in this lifetime, in this incarnation, in my memory. And this glimpse felt like absolute bliss. Like I get it when they say heaven on earth. that was heaven. Heaven wasn't like a physical place, like, I'm gonna go travel to heaven, I'll see you there. No, it's this is earth and this is heaven. It's like literally right on top of each other, but like multi-dimensionally. And it's all in your mind. It's all a state of being. It's all about frequency and vibration. And I felt oneness, which means I realized that the ego thinks in separateness and fear and all the negative emotions. That doesn't mean that they're all bad or that they're not valid expressions when they arise in the moment, but most of that suffering that arises is from attachment to either pleasure or pain. We're dwelling on the past, ruminating on what we could have done, what could have been, what we did wrong, shame and blame and guilt, and then worrying about the future and trying to plan everything meticulously so it goes exactly that way, and so we have complete control. We don't have any control. That might be a video for another time, but life is living us. But we also have free will. I would love to explore that topic. I love talking about that. So another time. But the Enlightenment glimpse. I remember coming home one day and my dad said some shit that would normally go and just like hit me right in the resentment and right in the trigger, and I just like huff and puff. And this day he said that, and I almost felt the energy like come right at me, and I kind of saw it just go phew, and just slide right past me. It was like, because I wasn't there was no ego there to hold on to it and say, hey, you said this to me. It was just went right through. And I laughed because it was so funny to see, wow, that would have fucked me up in the past and ruined my day and ruined this exchange. And I just gave him a big old hug and gave him a kiss, and it was just love. And it was so nice. Like the part of me that was observing was like, oh wow, that's much nicer to experience this than like what you experienced last year with your dad, you know? That was beautiful. And then just going through my day, like I didn't have the same worries and anxieties and the to-do list and I need to. None of that was there. It was just presence and peace, and everything that was right in front of me was right in front of me. And all the thoughts that used to be like these huge loud speakers saying, listen to me, do this, now became these tiny little fireflies, or rather moths, let's say moths. And they were flying around, and it was like, oh, I'm like this light of awareness, and the thoughts just want to fly around me because that's what moths do. They fly around the light, and they're like, oh shit, the light is awesome. And instead of being this loud thing that you have to listen to me, and they were like, and I remember like just kind of looking at the thoughts and being like, oh, what's up, little guys? It was just like this super innocent, playful, childish kind of curiosity, like, oh shit, look at you guys, wow, cool. But I didn't have to, I wasn't like, oh no, I gotta listen to them or else they're gonna hurt me later. Like, no, there was just no weight there. They were just tiny little happenstances, tiny little things. Like if you're out in nature and you see a little butterfly passing by, you're not like, fuck you, butterfly. You're like telling me to go talk to my mom and make amends. Like you just look at it and you're like, wow, look at this beautiful little thing going by. And you don't have to pay it any mind. It kind of felt like that. And then when tough situations came up, I still felt the poignancy of that moment, the heaviness, but there was a different quality. I wasn't running away from it. I wasn't trying to cover it up. I wasn't trying to numb it. I went right into myself and said, oof, all right, I'm feeling this. I mean, there wasn't even like a process, like, oh, okay, this happened, so now I'm gonna, no, it was just natural. This was a natural expression. I just went right into the emotions and just felt it and held it and felt the poignancy and the sadness of a dear friend going through one of the worst times of their life, and feeling that, like, is my friend gonna be okay? Is my friend gonna be alive? I don't know. And just surrendering into that feeling, and then comforting myself, feeling this anxiety, and just putting my hand right where it is. Where are you, anxiety? Right here in the stomach, and just breathing in deep and out, and just spending time with that. You're allowed to spend time with yourself. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to not be doing. It's not about doing, it's about being. How are you being in the world? And if you're being anxious, then everything you're doing is coming from a place of anxiety and holds that energy. If your being is at peace or in love, then everything you're doing is coming from a place of love and peace. And isn't that the vibration you would rather put out into the world? Now, no judgment, because a lot of us have a lot of darkness to work through. Some of us have started. Some of us are finished, perhaps. I'm still iffy on that, but I've seen some great teachers out there that are just shining their light through, and it's thank you. And then some of us haven't even started our work, and that's okay, because when you start, you're starting in a world where there are a lot of people doing the work and a lot of trailblazers. Man, to be Jesus, to be Buddha, to be Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, there's just so many, Kuan Yin. These are all people that I consider ascended masters from a lot of the things that I've read and listened to and experiences I've had. Fuck. That was a time when no one was doing that stuff. They were, in the 3D realm, they were kind of alone. Imagine. But right now, there's a huge support system. Literally, the planet has been calling us. Like, plant medicine called me, said, hey, here you are. Let's go. You ready? I got you. It's gonna be scary, but you're good. This has been long, and I'm really great that I feel like this has been a lot of fun to share this. The enlightenment glimpse in 2021 felt like a couple months, but in reality, when I look back, I think it was a couple weeks. But because my practice was so dedicated and disciplined, kind of felt like I went phew, and then I started gliding back down instead of crashing down, as I've heard some people go through. Kind of felt like a glide. But then eventually some really heavy shit came up again the next year, and felt like a whole other dark night of the soul. Felt even more difficult than the 2020, but because I now had faith, which was given me by these experiences I had, I was able to move through it a lot more gracefully. And I feel like I'm really, really learning a lot right now, and hopefully teaching. And there's so much to share. This is enough, though. This is enough. If you have any feedback, I welcome constructive feedback. Ego, fears, judgment, and criticisms, but like the nasty ones, the ones that really, you don't know where they come from, but they're more like complaints and they don't offer any solutions. It's just a, fuck you, you're dumb, you're too this, you're too that video was too long, any of that. And if that's your expression, that's valid too. Everybody here is here to be loved. And if that's your expression, perhaps you weren't given the love that you deserved. And I invite you to listen to more of these videos, and perhaps you can feel some of that love and maybe even learn to love yourself. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more of these, and if there's like certain topics you'd like to hear about, I'm super down. I literally feel like I want to post one of these every day, and I might do something like that, little vlogs, journals, something like that. So okay, that's it. We out. I love you. Infinite blessings.